Councillor Benju, please. And a seconder, please. Leslie, Councillor Walton. Thank you. And then we move on to item 4, transformation. I was hoping, Sarah's with us. Is Sarah, you're going to move this today? Hiya, Sarah.
Hello. Yes, Ness Young, interim director, can't be with us today, so I was going to take this item, if that's okay, Chair.
I wasn't sure whether it was you or Rachel, but you're more than welcome. Thank you, Sarah.
Chair, thank you.
Through interests. There's nobody declared.
Oh, sorry, Sarah. Can I just stop you 1 minute?
Of course.
Any declarations of interest, prejudicial or personal, please? No.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Back to you, Sarah. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. I know you've all seen the report, so I'll briefly go through it and then focus on section 7.2. So to start, you remember the Sustainable Swansea Fit for the Future programme, which started many years ago, back in 2013-14. It reflected the priorities and the drivers of the time. So very much about transforming services, financial sustainability and savings, but also improving the improving outcomes for residents. It had a strategic framework which was specifically linked to the MTFP because the financial savings were a very large component and driver of that at the time. And there were 4 work streams. There was efficiency, new models of delivery, prevention and stopping services. And originally the objective was to save around 70 to 80 million pounds over the life of the programme. And in the end, it did ultimately make 70 million pounds worth of savings. It had very robust governance and management, as you'll see reflected in the report. And obviously there was annual reviews and lots of reviewing of the programme to maintain momentum throughout. But you'll also remember that the key vehicle for delivery was the 17 commissioning reviews, which were across many different services across the council. And through that, the council did deliver significant change through the programme. 3.2, you'll see in the report, gives some examples of they're just examples of some of the things that were delivered through the commissioning reviews and the positive outcomes. Section 4.1 of the report lists out the lessons learned, and they were taken forward then not only into the current programme, but they were also taken forward into the following programme, which was Achieving Better Together. You'll remember Achieving Better Together then came out of the pandemic, so it was very much about how we were going to remobilise after the pandemic and getting back up to speed. And then once that had happened, the next phase around that was sort of refocusing back into more the transformation space, which takes us to now 2023 to 27, which is looking forward now to the new transformation programme. And particularly here focusing on 7.2 of the report. So looking at some of these areas to discuss with the committee today and to get your views and input so that this can feed into the new programme. So how we could effectively use engagement and co-production with residents and staff and other stakeholders. How we can look at our performance management around the transformation programme moving forward, the ongoing development and the scrutiny of that. The internal and external communication of the plan, how we get those messages out and how we get the feedback back in so that it constantly develops the programme. How do we develop the workforce change management capabilities? So thinking about training and change management toolkits and those kind of things. And then thinking about the need to balance the need for the long-term transformation outcomes over many years, but how to do some of the quick wins and those short-term deliverables, including the short-term savings as well, which are in the current MTFP. And then finally, the role of digital technology and what that can do in terms of delivering transformation and how we resource that. Just on that final point, so you'll see as well the digital strategy is out for consultation already, We have been doing a significant piece of work in also looking at how we can map projects to deliver the digital strategy outcomes, and we've already set up a governance board as well around that, which met for the first time before Christmas. So we are already moving forward on the digital technology aspect and how then that can feed into the transformation programme. But today, the director is very keen to get your thoughts on all of these points in 7.2 and how that might then inform moving forward. Thank you, Chair. Happy to take any questions or any further comments.
Thank you, Sarah. Any comments or any questions for Sarah, please? Councillor Walton? No, it was Joe. Councillor Walton first, please, and then Councillor Hale.
Thanks, Chair. It's more of an observation, really, that I know most of you know how keen I am on co-production, but I think there's going to still need to be a kind of balance between doing that and some of the services we offer. We are probably in a better position to carry them out, if you see what I mean. Because I'm interested in the comment that was made on page 9, where it says the core purpose of the council and the need for residents and communities to do more to help themselves. I think a lot of residents would like to be involved, given half the chance. So, sorry, I'm slightly contradicting myself in a way, but I'm for co-production, but I think there would be some places where it won't be relevant. But where we can use it, I would say we must. Thanks.
Thank you, Leslie. Joe, we'll take your question and then we'll refer back to Sarah. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much. Really good report. For me, much the same as what Leslie's just said, and very generic. So I'm still unclear. You mentioned during the report the outcome, the eventual outcome on how the council will look. I think we need some detail around how the council will look further down the line, and some examples, I think, of it just seems very generic. It doesn't seem to, you're not, for me, you're not giving enough examples of what this transformation looks like for certain services. Thanks very much, Sarah.
Thank you, Councillor Hale. There's been an indication from Councillor Lewis to come in and then we'll refer back to Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Councillor Walton. I just wanted to give a bit of reassurance, really, that part of what the council do is about empowering communities to help themselves, as we've done throughout the pandemic, and they've done some fantastic work. But you're absolutely right, we do need to engage with all aspects of our communities, and we'll continue to do that. That includes young people, disability forums, over 50s groups, and the ethnic groups as well, and harder to reach groups. So we absolutely should be on this journey together, and their input will be really important. But to come back on Councillor Hale's observation about the report, I think it's important to outline that there's a reason why it's quite generic at this point. And what it is this report is very early. We're consulting with the committee early doors. So at this moment in time, the departments and services are looking at service transformation and what that could look like for them. And we will be bringing a further report back to Cabinet with that greater detail included. So this is very high level today in terms of governance and a focus for service transformation. So it might feel quite generic because of that very reason. But I'm happy, Chair, if I'm sure Sarah might want to add a few things to that as well. Thank you for the opportunity to come in.
Thank you, Councillor Lewis. Sarah?
Yes, and it's useful today, I think, just getting those thoughts from the committee, just in terms of your input, those items listed at 7.2. So accepting Councillor Hale's point about the generic nature, but are there any priorities from the list or anything that you feel that is it very important for us to consider in moving that forward? That would be really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Anyone else wishing to raise anything? Question, concern? I'd like to ask, or an observation as well, Sarah. We've spoken a lot about co-production on this committee, and it's scheduled for February on the work plan. And I think I'll take this opportunity to say the members on this committee have got a passion that, as Leslie have said, the co-production to be delivered, and for us to make the most of what it can bring to the residents and to the council. So it's quite fresh to everybody who sits on this committee, and probably it's the biggest thing here, because when we talk about communication and engagement, as Councillor Lewis have indicated, we need to, have a finger on the pulse. We need to be kind of proactive, and we need to be out there touching base with every single group that we can. And I think the opportunity is there now because of where we are with the warm hubs and where we are, with the economy at the minute. So people are starting to kind of voice their concerns or come forward with their everyday living issues, which touches upon us as a local authority. So probably now is the best time to start engaging with those groups. When we've got a captive audience there, people using the warm-ups, people coming forward, and people probably utilising services that they haven't utilised for a long, long time. So probably now, to me anyway, is the best opportunity for us to engage and consult with people. And development of the workforce change management capability. That's a big one for me as well, because I keep saying it, during COVID, we had a very professional image, from our residents, from our officers, from every single person in the city, who's associated to this council. And, lessons learned go a long, long way. So we have got officers, we've got staff members who stood up to that parapet and actually delivered what probably we are looking for here, a transformation, because that transformation probably took place during COVID, and we haven't realised that yet. But there was so much activity out there, so much progression in communities where people opened their front door and reached out. So maybe a lesson learned, Sarah, that we can capture some of that. That was quite positive for some of the residents who are very vulnerable, who didn't have access to anything at all, and where our officers and members of staff and elected members, without forgetting us, actually stood up to the par. So COVID for me was a big thing regarding co-production and regarding engagement and consultation and everything we touch upon in the transformation of what we see today as what we see as a future council. But I would like to say thank you for bringing this report. Obviously, we've got a lot of work to do as a committee. And I appreciate what Andrea said here today as well. This is just a baseline, and you will return with a more detailed report for us. So thank you for that, Sarah. There is an indication for Joe to come back. Joe, you can come back. Councillor Hale?
Yes, thanks. It's just what you mentioned about the pandemic, and I agree wholeheartedly. I think an old chief executive of NHS somewhere said that the pandemic had brought out a crisis opportunities, but those opportunities that were taken in some parts of the NHS, and I'm just raising this as be mindful of this, is that they tried to alter terms and conditions quite quickly. So we have to protect our workforce in not only in times of a great crisis, but when it all does settle down, and we're nearly there, aren't we? We still have to protect their terms and conditions. So I've seen the opposite happen in the NHS. There was a clear attempt. When you get the head of an organisation saying something like a crisis brings opportunities, that only means one thing for staff. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Councillor Hale. Anna Lawson, Councillor Lawson.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to mention really in the light of co-production and some of the changes in behaviour and opportunities that we saw during COVID and people stepping up, as you so rightly said. I just wanted to mention and disclosure as well, I'm an employee of SCVS, but SCVS probably have quite a lot of very good data and ideas on that particular area, because they do have they have of course their own co-production officer, and they also were very central in a lot of the volunteering roles around food delivery, prescription delivery, those kinds of things during the pandemic. So if they're not already included in the work plan for discussions around co-production, then I would really encourage them being included, because I think they probably have a lot of very pertinent information and ideas for us.
Thank you, Councillor Lawson. Any more questions for Sarah? Leslie?
Yeah, couple of things. Just leading on from what Hannah said, there's a scrutiny working group that's going to be looking at co-production. It's been delayed by a month. It's going to be in March. So I just wanted to let you know that. And certainly what you've just said, Hannah, I'll pass that back because I want to feed in some thoughts before I go to it, and suggest that that's we can invite somebody from SCVS. And then the other thing, I notice Transformation Delivery Board. Has this been set up? Is it in operation? And who's on it? Just out of interest. Thanks.
Thank you, Leslie. Andrea or Sarah?
I'm happy to come in on that. Yes, we've had our first initial meeting, so it's very early days. And as I said in my previous comments, the directors and heads of service are currently looking at their specific areas and coming back to the next board to report back what they feel are areas that could be focused on in terms of transformation for the council. Sarah and Director Ness Young sit on the board, and also the directors and finance and legal. So hopefully that answers your question. So the heads of service feed in to the board, and I suppose in the future going forward, any relevant cabinet members would be invited if there were items which were specific to their portfolios as well.
Yeah, thanks, Andrea.
Any more questions or observations for either Councillor Lewis or for Sarah, please? No. Okay, thank you. Sarah, got any idea as to when you'll be returning with an update for us? I know there's a lot of work to be done. Shall we say quarterly or maybe half yearly?
I'll if it's okay, it's because I'll feed back to Ness Young and I'll ask
Okay.
Ness how often she wants to bring the paper, if that's okay, Chair.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you, Sarah. Just so
Okay,
that
thank
we've
you.
got some indication as a committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right, and then we go on to item 5, which is the work plan. I've been approached by Councillor King to add a lighting policy. It's very, very early stages. I've had one initial meeting with Councillor King. So they're starting to put together or to review the lighting policy that we currently have. So I suggest we add it to the 28th of March. Is that okay with everyone? That's all I can tell you to date, because that's all I've been informed of, okay? There we are, Sam. Yeah. And Councillor King and Emily Davis, is it? Will attend that day as well. Okay. Right, so going back to the agenda, we've got co-production, which is the 28th of February. We'll have the lighting up policy or the lighting policy 28th of March. We've-
Sorry, Chair. Is that public lighting or just
No,
general
no,
light?
no.
Sorry.
General lighting, I think it's about events and whatever. I'm not sure, Joe. I couldn't give you
Oh,
that information.
Okay. All right. Sorry,
I
thought
just
you meant
had a
public lighting.
little 5 minutes to ask would I add it to this PDC or to the CDC.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
good. Yeah,
Thanks, Joe. And customer contact strategy needs to be added.
Yeah,
Shall we add that on 28th of March as well?
that's under Sarah.
Oh, that's under Sarah.
Yeah, asking.
Sarah. Oh, we are. Sarah's indicating to speak. There we are, Sarah. Sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Because we're potentially going live with quite a large system in March, April, is it possible that that could be deferred into next year if that's if the committee's okay with that? That would be really helpful.
Are we okay with deferring that item? Yep. Yes. Okay, Sarah, we'll defer that item.
Thank you very much.
And then we've got Swansea as the first human rights city. That needs to be scheduled. It's the 25th of April. Okay, Sam?
Yeah.
There we are. Thank you very much for your attendance. I appreciate it. Look after yourselves, keep warm, and I'll see you soon. Thanks. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good, Chair.
Bye.